younger population within our schools, and we talked about finding some information, and opening up some discussion about what role that we can play, and getting some questions answered about exactly where we're at and what we can and cannot do. So, with that, I'll open it up with Councilor Cohen.
Okay, I guess I'll sit over here. Essentially, I became aware of this problem from some parents in my district, and also the recent news report about the 13-year-old girl and the vape store worker that happened off the Kiska Road area. So as such, I reached out to the school districts, I reached out to parents that I knew, I reached out to and did as much research as I could. Francis Howell School District's kind of like led a lot of efforts in this regard. And I talked to both the communication director and also Matt Dykeman, and also with the director of student services, Dr. Jen Peterson. And right away, when I reached out to him, I said, hey, I've heard there's a problem. And they were real quick to correct me. They said, sir, it's not a problem, it's an epidemic. Okay?
Oh my.
They consider it that bad. They're seeing a growing amount of usage in the elementary schools even. They provided me this report, which I got today, that basically about 600 kids have been suspended from Francis Howell School District for vape products because it is against their student code of conduct. They're very concerned about it. They joined a lawsuit against Juul Company with a lot of other school districts and other government entities to try to get some action. They want to make a point that they didn't spend any money on this. They just joined as a friend of the suit. They would dearly love for us to do anything we can do to help. And I said, well, what can we help do? And that's the tough part of the situation. We didn't give them enough notice to be here, but they said they would like to attend a future work session. Okay, and what they've found, I asked them, I said, is it just the stuff they saw at the convenience stores? And they said no. They said these kids are getting a hold of these pods with THC on the street. So, and also a lot of the stuff that's sold, the same bad actors that we had problems with when they were selling synthetic marijuana, okay? That K stuff, okay? The same places, some of the ones that got raided before are selling this crap to kids again now. And some of the stuff that's being marketed as CDB pods, they've tested the kids after smoking these CDB pods that are sold to the convenience stores, and they're testing positive for THC. So this stuff isn't as clean as they think it is. So what they've done so far is they've hired a company to provide an education video system that they think is helping. It's similar like if a kid gets in trouble for speeding too many times. You go to driver's education, safe driving classes. They've done that, and they said it's about a 5-hour course, and they said that's been pretty effective. So I asked them for information on that to relay to the health department. They also, I asked them, I said, would it help any if we made it illegal for other kids to sell this stuff to kids? Okay, so for instance, if in an instance that was publicized, a 20-year-old traded to a 13-year-old. I said, what if we made something like that illegal? They said, in their mind said a lot of this stuff where the kids are getting it, a lot of it's from older brothers and sisters. So then you have a problem with that. I did call Tim Lomar. He's aware of the situation, and Francis Howell School District has been talking to him too about something that could be done. But I don't think we want to criminalize it to the point that these kids get records in middle school for having vape products. So I don't know the solution to that either. But Tim Lomar said he's thinking about it, and he would try to figure out something that he could do. I found out this afternoon from Dr. Patterson at Francis Howell that St. Peter's has got a law prohibiting minors from possessing this stuff, and they actually enforce it and have written tickets on it. I don't know how effective it is, but I thought we could get a copy of that law from St. Peter's and take a look at that. Other than that, I mean, the problem is you can't just, I thought we could do something about restricting it to vape shops. The problem is this stuff's everywhere, okay? I mean, every convenience store, every gas station's got it. The FDA is, I saw this, that that John put together, the FDA did ban any prohibit sales at 21, but they didn't prohibit these single dose ones. So for instance, they got rid of the packs that contain nicotine or flavored stuff. The FDA restricted the flavored vape products, but they left a huge loophole that Donna caught and saw it in a paper that's basically the single-use ones where they buy it and get one big hit out of it or whatever. Those are still out there. So I did check with a couple convenience stores, gas stations, see how old you have to be to buy this stuff, and they said 21. I said, are you guys enforce that? They said, they kind of snickered a little bit when I said that. So I don't know if the more legitimate facilities that are selling it are enforcing the under 21 or not, but I got a feeling a lot of the same people we've had problems with synthetic marijuana are selling anything that they can sell regardless of what it does for our kids. So that's being said, we talked, I mean, in some of the emails I sent, I said we talked about 1,000-foot restrictions. I don't think that'll do anything. Criminalizing the sale of it, that's not going to help any. If a brother sells it to a younger sibling. As far as through our health department, we did put an invitation out for the health department to be here. I don't know if anyone's coming here, but maybe the health department's got some ideas. Okay?
Yeah, Demetrius.
And we'd sure like to hear your thoughts on it, because I know this is befuddling the school district. Francis House, talking to them, they're very concerned about this. The lady that I talked to, Dr. Patterson, she had a real personal connection. She had a couple kids that same age. She says, I'm looking for answers too. She says, whatever you guys can do would be great. So I would expect them to come in later on. And I'd like to hear your thoughts, sir. Maybe you've got some ideas of something we can do.
Before we do that, he can come up. Can I ask John, come on up here. Sir, you can come up
Yeah,
here.
Demetrius. Right there, that's fine.
Is it currently, the law is 18, or what is the law right now?
What happened, in the Budget Reconciliation Act that was signed into law, there was a provision that allowed the FDA to make it unlawful to sell to anyone under 21. As Councilman Cronin said, there were two kind of loopholes, if you will. In the law, the bottom line is the tension at the federal level right now and what's going on in this fight in the law is the fight about, we want to take the flavored pods, which has been what teens have really, if you look at the numbers, it's just going through the roof. And they've traditionally been, these flavored pods is what they've been attracted to. And so you got 1 in 4 teens that have accessed flavored pods in the last 30 days. And so that's one provision in the law, that they outlawed the flavored pods, with the exception of, I think it's menthol and tobacco flavor. They also said that disposable, it's called a tank system, I believe, is also not prohibited, because that has not been what teens have utilized. They've utilized those jewel pods and things that historically, that's what they've used to date. Having said that, since the law went into effect, they've already shifted the marketplace and moved quickly, teens have. So it's that dynamic, because on the other side of the equation, you've got adult smokers who are really pushing to say, and legitimate health experts saying that this particular tool for traditional adult smokers may be something we want to keep available to them, because it's, all things considered, it's it will improve public health. An chairman of FDA commission from 5 or 10 years ago was quoted as saying it would improve public health if adult smokers would go to e-cigarettes. So that's on the one side, but you had this explosion of teens accessing, e-cigarettes, some form of e-cigarettes. So that's what's going on. And in that law, it was trying to balance those two things of taking the flavored pods off the street, which it does with those two exceptions, and the device that teens had gone to, that kind of their go-to.
When you say take them off the street, you're talking about after 18
making it illegal for somebody to sell to anyone under 21 instead of making it illegal to sell to anyone under 18. So raising the age from 18 to 21.
But part of the issue from people that I've talked to who use these, Because I was talking to a young man the other day, he likes the mint flavored. He's 28 years old, but he can't find them anymore. So where he's trying to find them is on the web, because there are still some places where you're not supposed to, but you can still get them if you find some of these. But they're not regulated. So a lot of this stuff that they end up getting, they don't really know what they're getting off the web when they start ingesting. And I think, especially for underage, like when John and I were talking about the other day, you may have some parents or older brothers and sisters or just older people who will let them use that mailing address to get it. They are 21, they get it, they give it to them, and we have no idea what they're ingesting. They have no idea what they're ingesting. So the web just makes it another workaround. Sorry,
And just
Demetrius.
to be 100% clear, we're not trying to, at least my intent is not to put any vape shop out of business.
Right.
Not to keep it from anybody that's trying to quit smoking, not trying to impair any manner at all. I don't care if the person's 28 and smokes whatever flavor they choose.
Right.
I just don't want to see middle school kids get hooked on it and doing things that they'll regret for the rest of their lives over it. And that was the intent. Okay?
It's just another wrinkle for what you were talking about. I don't know what we can do to get there, but then there's another workaround that they have. So it's like, geez, there's so many holes. Sorry, man.
Is it illegal for, John, for someone, it surely is illegal for someone to buy something for a minor, isn't it?
I see most of the things are prohibitions on selling. Yeah.
The problem is it's so unenforceable. I don't know how the heck we're gonna enforce it, but
Demetrius, can you help us out here a little bit? Give us your
Well,
thoughts.
there have been about 60 deaths associated with vaping products, and there have been just under 2,700 lung injuries. It peaked in September, and it's almost nil now. A lot of it was associated with a particular chemical, vitamin E acetate, but not every single product that was tested had that in there. Most of it was also associated with marijuana, a THC product, but not every single person that had a lung injury or a death had used a THC-containing product. So we don't know everything that may have contributed to these particular injuries. 60 deaths is pretty small when you compare it to the other deaths associated with tobacco smoking and the carcinogens that are in that combustible product. The CDC doesn't want to see young people using these. The average age of these lung injuries was 24. So these were people that had probably started using below this legal threshold age that we're talking about. I don't know, what questions do you have?
One thing that Francis Hall told me I thought was interesting is when they catch a kid with these pods, they check them now, and they said, I'm not certain if law enforcement knows this, but they said the ones that are legit, okay, typically have liquids inside, and the ones with CBD and THC, it's more of a wax substance, okay? But they're real concerned about the prevalence of the THC pods in their schools. I can tell you that. They were adamant about that. And the biggest concern is that the kids will start out getting these flavored ones that are still allowed in single-use format at the local stores, okay? Get hooked on them and then start getting the THC pods from where they get them from on the street. That's what I got the biggest concern they had with it.
I've got a question. Is that, what's the research say about the addictiveness of this product compared to cigarettes?
Nicotine is the substance that it's addictive, and it's highly addictive.
Okay.
And we've known that forever. And, you know, I think there is a school of thought that vaping is a harm reduction approach. It is less dangerous, vaping nicotine is less dangerous than smoking nicotine. And some people would buy into that. Others would argue that, you know, an addiction is an addiction, and maybe we should try to avoid that to begin with. So.
This was 2 weeks ago or so, I heard on the news that there was something on about, restricting vaping, and on the day that was announced, that the stock prices for the cigarette companies jumped considerably, because they would love to see the elimination of vaping because people then returned to cigarettes. That was at least their thinking. You know, and,
The
I
school-
think though, based on what Mr. Cronin brought forth and myself, I was in favor of it, is the 18, he was 21, I'm on 18. But you're saying it's already illegal to sell someone vaping products. Are we enforcing that? Or like, I know we don't have the resources for police to go around and really do a whole lot about that, so what are we doing about it? I guess if Captain Hunt or someone, I don't know what.
At the federal level, the FDA said in testimony last week that they were going to prioritize this, they were going to put money and resources behind it, and they were going to put an all-out effort to enforce. What that means,
But we have no way to enforce it that I could.
Let me just take a step from there. I asked Dr. Patterson, I said, where do you think your kids are getting it, okay? And she rattled off, I asked her to send to me an email, so I have a matter of it, but she rattled off about a half a dozen, 6 or 8 places in her district, or her Francis Hall School District, with no. One of them was a certain tackle shop on 94, which you're probably aware of from the past.
They still get it there?
And anyway, I don't think that's getting enforced. She was she's done a lot of research on this. I really wish she could have been here, because one thing she told me, she says, younger bodies and younger brains get addicted easier. And she says she's talked to good kids that say that after doing these things once or twice, they got a craving for more and more, okay? So I can tell you that they're extremely concerned about it, okay? And that's not putting words in her mouth, okay? Is that to your recognition as a health? Younger?
Absolutely, yeah. Young brains do get addicted easier.
Seems to me that it's an enforcement issue, that retail outlets should be told about this, and there should be some more enforcement effort. And I know on the list of priorities, that's maybe not the highest one. And the other one is an education factor for parents to be aware of these kinds of things. And I don't know if Francis Howell or the other school districts are going in that route, or if there's anything publicly health that could come out to, you know, to residents as a whole, to let them know how dangerous this is for young minds and for young bodies, and what they can do to identify and look for these things that their kids may have, and take some action to make sure that they're more involved and aware of what their kids are doing.
The school district does have an education program. It's just through a software company. They have to pay so much per class. But I asked them to get the contact information for that to you, so we can take a look at it. As far as St. Peter's ordinances, when I talked to Tim Lomar, I said, if we did just a straight possession ordinance, we sure don't want a kid getting a record of this. Could we do it, and this might be a question for Mr. Watson as well, could we do it where the first and the second one, for instance, are warnings, okay? And the third one goes a ticket to go to municipal court? And the Dr. Patterson said she's pretty certain that's how St. Peter's does something similar to that. So I think we need to look at their ordinance. I'll get a copy of that and send it to Mr. Watson and you as well.
Do we have a possession ordinance for that? Is there a reason? So I'm not real familiar with the, but if you're 16 and you're smoking cigarettes, is that anything? What is that? Nothing?
most of those are those are basically historically been controlled by federal law.
So, okay, so if you're 17 and somebody, do they have to post it in the store that you have to, are they doing that? Do we know that they're doing that?
So, I mean, like,
Is that the health department or is that the police department? Who's supposed to be monitoring that?
State tobacco.
yeah.
State tobacco? So it's not getting monitored at all then, I guess?
There's signs in most stores. I mean, they post.
Well, we're all familiar with the location he's talking about down there, and they don't follow the law at all. We know that.
Well,
So,
just as you know, Tailies right here down 3rd Street, I pulled in there, okay, just to see, and they got the stuff, they got every kind of bogus, illegal type of, or legal stimulant, or any kind of fake drug you can imagine for sale there, but there was absolutely no signs about any age restriction.
that's what I was saying. I don't think we're
And I
doing.
asked the clerk, I said, how old do you have to be to buy this stuff? And she said, well, she's one of the ones that's 21, but she kind of snickered. So, but I mean, a signage requirement might at least alert the parents to know something's going on. I just think when a school district says, no, sir, we don't have a problem, we got an epidemic, I think it's something the council needs to take a look at and begin working on. Beyond that, I think we just need more time, okay?
Joe, does the school district, do they confiscate the material?
Yes, they do, and then they do contact the parents because it's a violation of their student code, no differently than if they got caught with a can of Budweiser or a pack of cigarettes or anything else. So they, you know, so it's, there's a matter of record, and they do, she said they also test it. And she said in schools with St. Peter's, they get the school resource involved because it is against the law in St. Peter's. You know, now Tim Lomar is looking into it and see, because I said the idea, if we're gonna do something, we want something that's not a burden to you to prosecute or a burden to the PD to enforce. So he said, give me a little time to think about that, and let's see what he comes back with.
So does, what's your, I'm sorry, what, Dietrich? What's your?
Dimitri.
Dimitri, is your opinion from a health perspective only that, is this something that, if we monitor, if you're 18 and under, should it be a possession charge of some sort, minor, whatever, to discourage this kind of behavior? Or do we not discourage this kind of behavior because it's better than smoking? I mean, are we trying to say that it's going to be, you're going to take this way, this way in the Y in the road, or this way? Or do we, I mean, so from a health point?
I don't think nicotine or cannabis use in young minds is ideal, period. So
it should be penalized or stopped?
Well, John, didn't the new rule make it 21? Doesn't the new federal restriction make it 21?
To sell.
Yeah, so the federal restriction's 21 now to buy it for vaping.
Well, then why are we selling?
Unless it's a single-use product.
Yeah, unless it's, well, single use, it's not 21?
It's, all I understand it to be is the tank system, and to be honest, I don't
Yeah,
know what
those
that
are
technical
disposable
term
ones.
is.
There's a loophole in the law, it was in the post, Donna got caught it in the Senate, so they
Yeah.
can still sell strawberry, watermelon, all of it to single use apparently. The problem is the tobacco companies want these kids hooked on this stuff for the bottom line,
Yeah.
and they're gonna figure and they're gonna adapt to the marketplace, and they got lots of, even the Francis Hall folks said, they got lots of lobbyists at the federal and state level, so it's damn near impossible to get anything done. She did very clearly tell me, though, she says, we're counting on you guys at the local level because we know what you did with pseudoephedrine, we know what you did with fake synthetic marijuana, we know what you did with prescription drug monitoring, and she says things, it'll take the federal government decades, it'll take the state government years to get them done. You guys might get something done sooner, so I think if we want to let you grind on this a little bit, let's see what Lomar comes up with. John Watts could do some more research, and then maybe get the school district back for another one of these neat stuff.
I think to me, Joe, you need to just draft an ordinance and see what's going to work, and get some kind of content
We don't have
started.
that information.
Yeah, my suggestion here is that, my suggestion is that we've kind of taken the first steps tonight, at least saying, okay, we need to look into it, we need to investigate what can be done, what we are allowed to do, and then, maybe a discussion on what's the best course to take, as we move forward here, because I don't think it's something that we want to just kind of give up on, even though there might be a difficult road to get where we're trying to go.
Well, I think we should include our own health department.
Definitely.
Dimitri.
Definitely.
Help us figure out what to do too.
Steve wanted to say something. Did you want to say something, Steve?
I was going to ask a while ago, John, is there an enforcement language in the reconciliation bill?
It's under FDA,
So, but how do they
how they enforce anything else FDA is enforcing. They said they were going to, they said to Congress in the next 30 days, they're going to make this the highest priority in the agency to start enforcing.
under rule, they can set rules?
Yes. I don't know.
Well, it takes them.
I think what it is it treats as if you're selling tobacco to someone under 21. It brings it under the definition of that product.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
We got a couple minutes left. I got one suggestion that myself and Donna talked about a little bit, if it's okay.
Sure.
We've got a lot of issues like this. We got the 3 to 5 acre issue that's going on, a few other things. we thought about it might be possible just to designate the first meeting of the month to have an automatic work session for about an hour. Years ago, that Donna said councils did that, okay? And basically, we could have a primary item to talk about, okay? And then bring up secondary information. We had more time, I'd like to talk about the 3 to 5 acre thing, but we don't. So please consider that at least. It might be some way to get, we've got a lot of stuff to go through like this again. There might be a way to facilitate. And if we knew ahead of time when those sessions were going to be, we could plan it in our individual lives. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.